What's up, team? Welcome to Warrior 2. (2023) TCT is doing another Warrior, and we're actually 1 week in. I wanted to talk a little bit about how everyone's been going, the difference in the community this time through, and just like Warrior in general. So I'm just gonna do little updates every week. For those of you who don't know, Warrior was something that I created last year in 2022. We've been doing a program called Warrior, which is 5 weeks long. It's very intense training, and the purpose behind it was I wanted to create a training group that was interested in pushing themselves, not just physically but also mentally. So taking themselves to new limits, pushing beyond those limits as well, and just trying to test the waters with regards to what it is they could actually do and what kind of reactions they would have when they start to be tested and challenged. So we've done one whole week already. When we first started Warrior, we had a crew of about 8, and I decided that I was gonna do that first one, test the waters, see what kind of things people enjoyed about it, what they hated, and where we could improve, and then I was gonna run a bigger one the second time through. So this Warrior that we're doing at the moment currently has 18 people in it, so there was way more people this time through. This time we put a lot more emphasis into our nutrition. Other than that, everything's pretty much the same. We've done the same testing to begin with. So last Tuesday was the first day of Warrior, and they all did a yo-yo test to see where they are in terms of their cardiovascular fitness, but that's also a bit of sprint speed ability as well. And then we've just had 2 workouts since then. So Warrior training is twice a week. It's from 4:30 a.m. till 6 a.m. We usually have a class at 5 a.m. anyway on TCT's roster. So sometimes they'll join in and sometimes they'll just go and do their own thing. It depends what's on the cards for the program that day. On the Tuesday, like I said, they did a yo-yo test. If you've never done a yo-yo test before, it's very, very similar to the beep test. Basically, you have a 40-meter distance in a shuttle, so it's 20 meters out and then 20 meters back in, and then you have about a 5-meter shuttle at the back, so 10 meters I guess. So you walk 5 and 5 back to your starting point each time. And the way that it works is you have different speeds you have to run, and in between each interval that you do, you have a 10-second rest. The difference with this one and the beep test is it's not continuous because of that 10-second rest each time. A lot of field-based sports and court-based sports are not just like a continuous paced run. The runs go fast and then slow, and then there's times where there's downtime, and so you're not running it like a marathon where you just pick a pace and stay to that pace, or you have paces set for certain times in the marathon or certain distances. Instead, you're just kind of doing these irregular speeds. When you do the test, you'll run 40 meters on a shuttle, and then you have that 10-second rest, and then you'll run it again, 10-second rest, and there are beeps on each one. So it'll beep at the halfway point, and then beep, and this kind of gives you that metronome effect of how fast you need to be running, and then it gets faster and faster and faster. If you've done a yo-yo before, a really great score that you can get is pretty much anything above 18. So I don't think we had anyone hit the 18 mark on this time through. Last time we did Warrior, we did have Lenny who did over 18, which was really cool, but it's really hard to do that. Like 18 would be like a prerequisite for a high elite athlete to be able to do. Like I would say on average, if you're an elite athlete, you need to be able to do at least 18. So yeah, we're gonna push these guys and see what kind of numbers they can get at the end. But like I said before, it really reflects your speed as well. So if you're quite fast and you have that ability to have agility and have good turns, then it's gonna save you a lot on the yo-yo as well, because it's not that continuous loop. The second session was all about the assault bike. So there was a bit of running in there too, but the outcome goal was to take 2 bikes to 1,000 calories, and they had an hour to do it. Now this one was a bit of a doozy for them. So essentially the session starts at 4:30 and we warm up for like 10 or so minutes, and then they get started before the 5 a.m. session starts. So when they did this session, the actual session itself was to run to the Classic Flyers mark, which is just down the road from us. It's about a 600-meter run there and back. And then they were to go into their 2 groups. So there was 9 people per group, and they just had to tick those calories over, and they had post efforts as well. So if you were doing it yourself, you would have gone for that long run out to Classic Flyers and back, try to run it fast so you can get back and get started on the bike. And then once you start on the bike, you're only allowed to do a 20-second effort as fast as you can. After you did your own individual 20-second effort, you had to get off the bike, and you had 1 of 3 options that you could cycle through based on your ability as well. So you had the running option, which was 2 laps around the building, which is about a 500-meter run. You had 50 push-ups, and then you had 20 pull-ups. Now what I did was I did not provide alternatives for any of those 3 things as a post effort. If you're injured and you couldn't run, then you just weren't running, and you had to do a choice between push-ups and the pull-ups. If you're unable to do pull-ups, then you only had a choice between running and push-ups. And the same thing with the push-ups. If you couldn't do push-ups, then you had pull-ups or running. And if you couldn't do some of those efforts, then you were kind of just stuck on the same one each time. But I made sure that everyone was able to do at least one of those efforts, and everyone was pretty good with them. There was no alternative in terms of variation, so there wasn't like push-ups on a wall or ring rows instead of pull-ups. If you couldn't do pull-ups, you weren't doing pull-ups, so you were just skipping them altogether. And then you were back on the bike again. I had the teams doing this for probably about 20 minutes, and then as we got to 5 a.m, I gave my phone to Bailey, and then I was like, bro, film this. I just want you to film this next part. And she was like, oh, okay. And so she started filming, and then I turned off their screens. They were about 300 calories into their 999 or 1,000 calorie effort. So the idea behind that was I wanted to create a big challenge mentally for them, because man, if that's not an obstacle, I don't know what is. So I went up to them, I told them, everyone stop, do 10 burpees, and then I just hit the stop restart button on both of the bikes. And then I told them, look, I've started your bikes again. Yeah, how are you gonna deal with that? Oh, here's the clip right here.
All right, whatever effort you're on right now, just stop doing that and start doing 10 burpees. Everyone, let's go. 10. Very good. Nice work, team. I have restarted your screens. You still have 1,000 calories you owe me. You have till 6 a.m. to finish it. How will you deal with that? Let's go.
We might thank you.
Yeah, and so I pretty much started again, and by that time it was 5 a.m, and they had 1 more hour till 6, obviously, and they had all that time to continue and try to get to 1,000 calories. There were a lot of drooping shoulders. The body language across the whole room was almost like sigh-ful, and they weren't really happy that I'd done that. But you know, that's Warrior, and that's the kind of stuff that we do. Is we're not here to like hit targets. Like that's targets part of the outcome, but the other outcome is like mentally, if someone changes the things that you've just gotten into, the rhythm that you've got into, and they mess with that, like what are you gonna do about that? How are you gonna react? And I think that's a skill in itself, is to be able to go like, man, who cares? Let's keep going. You know, like we can chip away. We just done 300 calories. It wasn't that hard. We did it in 20 minutes as a team of 9. We got a whole team here. We can work hard and get it done. So that's the mindset that I want people to adapt from this. So yeah, that was our Thursday workout, and they got it done in the 50-minute time frame. So well under 60 minutes, which is really good. Teams of 9 and massive post efforts. We've had some hearty sessions already, a lot of running, a lot of stuff that definitely would have tested them mentally as well as physically. And we've also been trying to adjust to the early starts. So when you do Warrior, we put emphasis on 1, the training program, 2, your nutrition, 3, your recovery and your sleep, and 4, we also focus on a bit of whole water as well. So just like your well-being, different things that you can add to your lifestyle to try and improve your whole life as a whole. I want to use Warrior as a vessel to try and help people to start implementing significant changes that are going to benefit them, not just in the short term, but also in the long term as well. So that's kind of the whole mindset behind it. Anyways, last week was a lot of fun. It was really cool to see where people would end up. It was really hard to get footage, so I'm going to try my best at all the sessions to try and grab some footage so I can have some B-roll on top of this. But man, it was so much fun seeing everyone join into the classes, seeing everyone push themselves. And even before we started, people were very anxious and trying to guess what was going to happen, and trying to even prepare for it. But you really can't prepare for it because you have to just do it. And part of the program itself is introducing you into new things and allowing you to adapt to those things before we start pushing you into crazier and crazier things. But yeah, Warrior's been so much fun so far. Week 1 done and dusted. I'm really looking forward to seeing how everyone goes over the next 4 weeks. Just a 5-week plan, but anyone that's done my 8-week plans before, they will know that by the time you hit that month mark, it does start to feel like it's really, really long. So 4 weeks is real nice to have left over, and 5 weeks is just enough to keep them engaged. So let's see how they go. The people that are the most consistent with the plan and the people that stick to it through thick and thin are the ones that are going to see the most amount of gain through this whole thing. But as well as that, that's not the only point to the whole Warrior. It's also pushing yourself, seeing what you're capable of, finding new limits, and then just having that in the back of your mind, knowing that, like, man, I never knew I could do those things. That's a win for me as well. So let's see how they go. Peace, team.